Wow, welcome everybody to episode 13. Janet Eichhorst and Jill Renee Feel are here today. How are you, Jill? I'm fantastic. Jill and I took a brief moment to take a deep breath before we started this recording, and so I'm really excited about what we can do, bring in whatever the words are, experience today. And I was doing some meditation earlier and I was reflecting upon the 12 episodes we have recorded previously. And I was really feeling an energetic library. And so I just wanted to put that out there for people to use it that way or in whatever way works for them the best, because there's really transmissions that we've done that are dynamic in nature and available to use whenever you need it. And, I have to laugh because Jill and I really appreciate individuality, like we talked about in 2 episodes ago, in episode 11,
11. Yeah.
about individuality and how that leads us to be more who we are. So I say that because you might not find the titles of the podcasts on our individual YouTube channels to match. And that is really allowing Jill and I to grab the title that matches what we're feeling the most accurately. And that is through our lenses. So that is an expression of our individuality. And I still, and I know Jill is too, we remain excited to supporting everyone in being the God source that they are and holding that and being that like no other. And so, yeah, I'm excited today.
It's so good. I'm so excited too. And I love how you said that, Janet, because that is what it's all about. You and I have such a passion for the light within and source energy and the connection of that in the most organic, transcendent, absolutely like blow your socks off kind of way. And I want people to feel that. I'm bummed when I hear somebody saying that they spend a lot of time or money or energy on their spiritual practice and I can feel it that they're not getting the results that they deserve. So it's our intention to offer something that might be said a different way or maybe said in a totally different way and done in a different way that actually gets them a better result.
hmm And even if we use the same words that you might hear from other people, the way that it's transmitted and the way that it comes through this container can offer something completely different and a transcendent experience. So we intend that. Like that is by design. So, what are we going to talk about today?
I don't know. I have some ideas. Do you have some ideas too? Is there one that pops up for you?
I really don't. I mean, I'll share this just briefly and then we'll see what you have to say. I'm feeling such a exponential upgrade experience right now where it's continual and I work at this right because I want more of myself here, right? And that's the my dimensional capacity. And I really have kind of taken off on another level. So I don't know how much this is a collective or a personal thing. I mean, it's always both on some level, but I just wanted to throw that out there and invite other people to have that experience now in whatever way you want to, wherever you want to upshift. We've talked about the 2025 energies a little bit, well, quite a bit actually. And it's about the newness in every moment. And I'm experiencing more frequency bandwidth available to us. And these are the platforms that Jill and I really excel as galactic shamans to bringing in for everyone to access. So that's sort of foundational. I love that.
I do too. I do too. This notion that some of us are it's like content, but also never satisfied. Because we know soulfully that there's always more of our soulful energy, of our light, of our Christ consciousness, all of it. That we always know that there's not the same limitations on our humanity that maybe we had felt like there once was. I remember being told in my early spiritual experiencing by others that, oh, well, there's a limit. Like you can only hit, we might get to 5D, and these different terms. And I just felt like that's really a limit that they're putting on themselves, starting with their beliefs. And I just always felt this internal knowing of just question that type of limitation. Don't believe it. Let yourself be, a data point of one and completely unprecedentedly invite the light of source energy into yourself from the inside out, no matter what other people are telling you what's capable now or what's scheduled, or you have to do this first and that type of thing. I just always felt lack in that, and that's to our advantage, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I do feel like now there's more, and it's so real to me. I can't even tell you how real this is, but
Mhm.
how we skip levels.
Yes,
And
totally.
and it's not hard. Anybody can do it at
Mm.
any time in that inward source way.
Mhm. This is this is an important topic, and I would like to delve more into this, that we can skip levels. I completely agree. I know that sometimes when I'm interacting, especially with fellow practitioners, spiritual practitioners, they'll say things like, "But Jill, I like the steps I went through." And it's interesting how by saying that you can skip steps, some of us feel not a defensiveness, but sort of a, "No, I like the steps I took. That's great." But were they required for you to get where you are now? You happened to come across those steps, but that doesn't mean you had to have those steps. What if you only needed one of those 5 steps and you could have gotten where you are now or where you will let yourself maybe be tomorrow with none of the steps that you took? What if it was sort of instantaneous in a way, right? So there's this interesting allowance for embracing any of the steps, any of the experiences that you've had, and letting yourself be um, grateful for them while also not feeling overly attached to them, that that's why you are where you are. What if what you are and kind of where you are in your spiritual journey was always available to you? What if it could have been as simple as, somebody touching your third eye that believes in you and believes in themselves, and you were just like, oh, what just happened? Oh, let's talk about it, right? um, I think this also comes with a caution because you and I have so many experiences, either being alongside fellow teachers or maybe working with a teacher, where they had basically sold you a set of steps. That's a big business model. That doesn't have to mean it's fraudulent in any way. But when somebody says, "I can get you to a certain level of yourself if you just do this, this, and this," what if you don't need that, that, and that? What if it would be helpful and you'll make it useful? But what if it actually isn't a guarantee? And what if it's not even required?
Mm. Mm. I just had this vision as you were talking, like a different model for presenting bodies of work. And this is my model where it's more intuitive and menu driven so that something gets presented and there's options, right? And so it's always based on what my intention and really heart's desire, because I believe that the true heart desire comes from our source, right? To me, that's why I have it, because it's how I want to experience and how God, or whatever word you want to use there, wants to express itself through me. And that's all about personalized choice to an alignment, right? It's not about some outside God telling me this. It's about, no, it's about me being the wholeness that I am and getting that expression. So in a different model, skipping steps would be encouraged or supported as an option. And I'm trying to just think about this from somebody that works with energetics all the time. You know, there can be sequences about how energetic shifts, generally in most people. But that doesn't mean it's true for everybody. It just doesn't. So the whole, sales model, linear process, which we talked a lot about in episode 12 with timelessness, imagine timelessness, right, in some sort of package that you were invited, and guided to purchase from somebody, right? Like if I'm guided, I go, I do, right? I really try to follow that. But the things I learn from that most of the time don't necessarily have a lot to do with what actually is being taught, in the English language sort of way. So there's so many options and how we can receive and how we can use that source essence in a way that's beyond anything we've ever experienced. So let's get the linearness out of how we participate in pretty much everything, right? It doesn't mean it won't look linear sometimes, but it doesn't mean that it is.
Hmm. Well
Yeah.
said. Yeah. And for people that prefer an A, then B, then C, those those systems are certainly available in this reality. I definitely am more of a, well, could I get to C with a shortened version of A, and do I really need B? I mean, that's sort of just how I'm naturally wired, and it's not about taking shortcuts. It really is about efficiency. What if I can get literally the same output with no degradation, with less time, less input. And what if there's a part of me that sort of is already operating on the level that I'm trying to achieve, if you will? And I just need to be open to it and curious about it. What about that? That has happened for me so many times. Um, even trying new things. There's a part of me going, you might be better at this than you think, given that your Jill thinks you've never done this before. And I like that curiosity because it allows my system to be more pleasantly surprised by a transcendent result.
Hmm. Yeah. So here's a suggestion. You're doing something that has A, B, and C's involved, or one, two, threes, however perhaps it looks. And so you look at A, the first thing, and you sit with it and you allow all that you are to be present to that and know what you know about it, right? Is this useful? Is this helpful? Do I know this? Do I know this, but there's some additions or some potential upgrades from A? And do I even need to listen or write or do the 5 steps within A to get that? Or do I already know it? And so it's a way too of receiving information. Information is energy, and we're always interpreting energy. So whatever those words are, or those numbers are, or those glyphs on a page, it's energy. And we can receive from that without going through the very kind of linear process of the way our mind has been taught to interpret and has interpreted. So there's a different level, I want to say, of reception, of participating with the energetics from that material, where you can receive so much more from it. And even the person that created that material, there's a way, and it's organic in nature, And it does require me to kind of have a level of awareness about it, but I can receive kind of a more expansive version from the source of where that inspiration came from. And that is fun. Like, that's just like, whoa.
It is fun. And when you say that, how I interpret what you're saying, Jen, and I'm curious if you agree with this interpretation, it's almost like somebody that is teaching something, they're offering you maybe a way that they used to get to that outcome, to get to that mastery. But
Mhm.
you don't need to follow, it's possible you don't need to follow the steps that they followed in order to get the result that they received in terms of their mastery. Is that another way of saying what you were?
It is, and some of it is using the energetic transmission that they use to create the material and receive it at that level, and even opening it up a bit more. So when I kind of bring my energetics to where the source of that material came from, I might even get a heck of a lot more out of it, right? That's
Totally.
co-creation. It's
Because
best.
they're already embodying. When you're working alongside somebody that has mastery that you're hoping to acquire or experience, they're already embodying the masterful energy patterns of that ability or that experience. So by working with them, alongside them, their work, etc., you may actually, almost like an osmosis sort of effect, get some of that energy without having taken the steps that they used or even the steps that they feel are necessary. That teacher may not even know how much of
Mhm.
their mastery they're energetically offering you just by being alongside.
Mhm.
The upgrades that way are, I mean, that's huge. It's
Mhm.
absolutely huge. There was a metaphor I've used before, and I still like it.
Mhm.
And it does relate to linear learning, linear teaching, and versus transcendence. And it was as I was looking at some of the spiritual teaching models that were in the world and coming across it in my client work. Oh, I did this and I did that. And they kept taking me way back to things that maybe they'd done decades ago. And it was almost like they wanted to show me kind of what level that they felt themselves at, which
Mhm.
is great, right? They're proud of it. They've experienced benefit from it. That's perfect. But as I looked at it, I was like, God, they took 25 years. Did it really take? I mean, should it have taken 25 years? Could it be quicker? I didn't have 25 years of doing what I do to get the outcome that I have energetically. And the metaphor I felt was if somebody were buying a new, let's just say Mercedes Benz, they would
Mhm.
never go into a showroom and the showroom's like, well, have you owned one before? Oh, no. Well, then we got to take you back to the 1946 model. You can't just have the latest model off the showroom. You got to work your way up to it. So I wanted it to be like a car, like a brand new car showroom where you walk in and you're offered the latest model, the latest bells and whistles and gadgets of the current technology, the most modern technology available. That's what I wanted in spirituality and in activated energies, galactic
Yeah.
codes, and
Mhm.
templates, and all these things. And my team got all excited and they were like, we love this. Yes, please do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't,
Yeah.
that's the definition of nonlinear in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I had the thought when you were talking about younger people. Now they're wired differently. The ones that are born, because we continue, Jill and I have had discussions about this before, how, we try things out here, then we kind of feed information back to creation, and then we try new versions with the new people that come in. This is what we do here. This is what evolution is, right? And so when people are born here, it's fascinating when I watch how younger people that I work with receive the information because I want to say quicker a lot of times. It's not kind of heavy with some of the old systems that we were, kind of attached to, I'll say, or used to using, even a more milder version of that. And so I take advantage of that. So when I work with people and I offer new options, right? And I watch and I witness how they integrate these and just it's like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, awesome, I'm doing that too, right? Like, so it's a continual upgrade process that we all get to do. And it's efficiency. It's literally evolution. It's literally different ways to experience our reality here that allows us to have more of our embodied selves active and usable. And that is, I get super excited about that.
There's a narrative here that I want to point out.
I know.
Just
I
in
saw it.
case
I saw
you
it when it
saw it.
came in. I was
Yeah.
like, what's that narrative? It was fun.
Yeah, I'm playing with it. Okay, so for whatever reasons, my husband and I said yes to having kids in the years 2002 and 2005. In the earlier kind of phases of my spiritual experiencing, my giftedness, I heard some narratives about things like rainbow children and crystal children. And I heard statements like everyone born after 2000 is coming in at a higher vibration than those of us that came in earlier. I heard narratives like this, and it was exciting. And I definitely experienced multidimensional giftedness and amazingness in my children. And as I was interacting with other kids at their school and things like that, I started noticing that this, in my experience, and my team confirmed it in my belief system, that it's not universal. So there's two counters that I prefer to that narrative, and that is that just because an energetic upgrade was available to newer beings incarnating, those that are coming in later than maybe some of us did, doesn't mean they're using it, doesn't mean they chose it, doesn't mean they elected to have access to it. That's part one of kind of a counter culture, counter spiritual culture narrative that I utilize. And there's a lot of benefits to, in my view, there's a lot of benefits to the narrative that I use. It might be there, but don't expect it. If you see it, great. But like, there's still some traditional, let's just say traditional humans and traditional children. The other part of the narrative is I didn't like how my very rational logical brain said, so does that mean that the younger kids have an advantage vibrationally than those of us that came in sooner? And I didn't want that to be the case because I wanted us, again, with this latest Mercedes-Benz model, I wanted us all to have access to it regardless of how long we've been here, regardless of our chronological age humanly. So now when I look at somebody that's 80 versus somebody that's 8 months old or 80 days old, I'm not personally in my model, I'm not looking at it as this one is farther along, has a better template, etc. I'm looking at the experiential of it, knowing that we all have access to the latest Mercedes Benz on the showroom floor. Anyway, so I just wanted to point that out. I don't mean to be argumentative, and for those that feel more, I want to say traditionally in spirituality, because it isn't traditional. It's very progressive. But I witnessed some downsides to it as it was applied. I saw grandparents, I don't want to say worshiping, that's a bit dramatic, but they're like, oh, my grandkids, Jill, they're just so high vibe, they're magical and all these things. And I'm like, that's great. Are they more magical than you? Well, of course they are. You remember when I was born in 19, I told you I was born in 1960 or 1950, you know what I mean? So there was this pyramid, higher level kind of thing going on, and I felt like they were disadvantaging themselves energetically. And then the other thing that was really concerning, and this is probably the bigger one, is it's confusing when those magical 2-year olds get to be 13 and 14, etc., and they're just like shit. They're just acting like the same junior high stuff that I experienced. Maybe I was wrong, you know what I mean? It's that's very anticlimactic and it can be even depressing energetically. It also didn't, I don't feel like it prepared parents of these new beings very well for the real world. I don't know. I'll be quiet now.
Well, I think you just popped a whole bunch of spiritual bubbles, I would say.
Hopefully not in a mean, hopefully not in a mean way. I try to do it respectfully, but anyway, some of those bubbles are problematic.
They are, and it's that I use the word balance of not denying that these beings that are coming in have different skill sets by design that we have all collectively worked together for different experiences here on this planet, right? That I see. Now, is that everybody? Well, no. I know my client base, anybody that would come to me has these deeper knowings of different experiences that they're trying to make sense of, and they want to use some of these higher level energetics in really practical and usable ways in their life because they know there's more, and they don't necessarily know how to execute that more from who they are. But anything that denies our own magical, incredible, unlimited capacity in a hierarchical way, yuck, like let's not do that. Let's not do that. And I mean, I work with all different levels of reality, and some of it's foundational. I mean, with all the fires, I was called in to do some work with some of the fires in the California area. I know this is the 22nd of, yeah, this one's the public 22nd of January, and hopefully some of those we're recording a bit earlier, have been worked out, I'll say. So there's all different levels of participation that we do on this planet, and it's all inside out for me. All of it is. And it's whether I was 80 or 5 right now, I think I would still be doing the same level of work and always have. And in that timeless way, it's all happening at once anyway, when there really is no time. And I think that's a really beautiful kind of sentiment to consider here is that, my future self and my past self are all here for me to draw from. So my youthfulness is right here. The wisdom when I decide to leave this planetary consciousness, the wisdom I have then is here. And so I cannot stress equality enough. Otherwise, I'm judging God's self, like, no, let's not do that.
And
Oh,
equality in a transcendent glorified version, a glorified version of equality, a glorified version of, oh my gosh, we're all capable. Literally, each and every one of us, individually and collectively, are capable of such amazingness, greatness. I love the word glory, and I love to sense that potential within humans and
mhm,
support that within them. And the idea that it's simpler slash easier than we may think it's going to be, thinking meaning the brain, is exciting to me. So I'm glad we've
mhm,
included this topic. And
mhm,
I'm glad we offered that bit of a footnote to it because having higher expectations than we feel like we can meet can be very um, disillusioning, right? Especially for spiritual experiencers and spiritual devotees that have been trying so hard for so long to get to what they feel is a certain level. What if
mhm,
that was offered to them in a very linear way when
mhm,
there's a very non-linear way for it to happen where you're not going anywhere, you're not filling your brain with new facts and figures, you're literally standing almost like deeper back within your energy field, And I mean, they may just want to do it. Like imagine energetically that you're in almost like a column of energy and just let yourself almost like step towards the back of the column. A spiritual seeker is often way at the front, almost outside of their column, trying to get to somewhere that they feel like they're not. It's
Mhm.
not a great approach. So by energetically just settling back into the column of energy and then opening both hands, I receive, I allow, I trust the wider, higher, greater, more glorious version of me from where I am as I am right now. And then be curious, be excited, be hopeful, be incredibly optimistic about what you are capable of with maybe no training, maybe no studying, just by being curious about what else not you can be, what else you are, and what
Mhm.
else you are capable of. And that's why this
Mhm.
type of topic is so thrilling to me because I personally have had and witnessed so many just like, oh my God, this is
Mhm.
crazy. As a parent, as a practitioner, as everything, there have been moments where I was just like, I don't know as my general how to do this or how to be great at this, but I want to not like let my child down. I want to let my new dog, be receive the best of me, and I'm not exactly sure what to do here. I allow for greatness for that being through me, and for that experience through me. And then I just kind of go, okay, let's see what happens. And I have new ideas. I have new thoughts. I have new, almost like intuitive answers for what to try next or what to be now. And this to me is magical
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's funny because you just leaned forward when you said that,
today.
which is
That's
very funny. I, I love that metaphor of being and that leaning forward is kind of, I want to say, like put a little red flag there, you know, and throughout your day, just pay attention if you're leaning forward. And it can feel energetic, but it's also very physical for a lot of people. There's a leaning forward. So just put a little, note to self, especially if I'm feeling a little off. Am I leaning forward or am I here? And I wanted to put, thank you for bringing up expectations because we've talked about this in previous podcasts. It's, I just, I have a vision of somebody right now of a child who is made to feel great about herself, and she is great. But there's a burden of expectation on that where it will hit the real world on some level that I can see that could be. I'm not going to project this outward, but right now it's a potential timeline, option for this person. And that, wow, like let's not make it any harder than it has to be for our beloved children who are gifted in ways that we can't even see. And yes, we get to honor them, and also we get to be really real with them. And that is the biggest gift, the honesty, the realism that this world is messy sometimes, and we will have to encounter that. And yeah, like let's not set them up any more than society does for unrealistic expectations. And I also wanted to put out because people's minds can be so challenging, peace of mind is always here. It doesn't have to be created. We simply get to relax enough to discover it because it's within us always. So let your mind do whatever it needs to do, whether it needs a big love hug, whether it needs just some gratitude for how well it's served, whatever that is, just let it rewire, right? Like literally let your neurons reorganize so that the path to peace of mind is a real thing. And it's not something you have to create because it's already here. So let that happen within your brain. And you could even give it a code word. Peace. That's when you say peace, that's when you find it, or something funny, whatever it is. But let yourself do that for you, because as a creator being, that is completely within the realm of what is possible and probable through your intention and your desire. Peace of mind. And with that comes relaxation, deep breathing, and that really gets anybody out of the fight or flight mechanism that often loops, that our overactive mind creates that fight or flight within our physical bodies. So when we find that peace, take a deep breath that tells our bodies to relax and get back into that parasympathetic, zenny, really cool spot. Right? So everybody just take note of how easy this is. And feel how when you go even back a little bit farther and just kind of move around a little bit in how you're vertical and your verticalness and find the spot that feels really good. And that opens the heart. You can feel it's like the divine mind, divine body, divine heart thing we mentioned in podcast 11, I believe. So that's really, really quite beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, that was really great. Wow. Wow. I can feel now. This is so cool. I can feel everybody's like dimensional selves like kind of come. It feels like they're coming in, right? Like there's just better. Oh, it's like, oh, you made some space for us. Like let's just drop in here. That's the sensation I get,
It's
with
so
that.
much more room to be
Yes.
ourselves and be curious and create and learn and grow if that's the main goal, create peace if that's your goal, enjoy more if that's your goal. Um, I'm I'm happy to hear that you two resonate with this whole where are you? Are you forward energetically in your field? Are you in the center? Are you out of your field, right? That's not a great energetic place to be. It's very draining. It's very
Yeah.
unsatisfying. And there's that chasing, kind of like never there yet sort of sensation, which is it's just not as fun.
And I invite people too to consider that whatever sort of movement practice you do, because hopefully you're doing some movement, because movement is very necessary for our physical body for lots of reasons. So consider that in your movement practice, whatever it is. Just pay attention to your alignment because we're energetic beings and we have energetic, meridians, nadis, all kinds of energetic connections within us. So even when you're standing in line at the grocery store, again, note to self, check in, like, ooh, oh, that feels so much better. Wonderful.
Love
Wow.
that. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Jill.
Well, you
Feels
guys,
like
that's number 13 in the
feels like
books.
we completed that, and that was a very
Yeah,
efficient, very energetically packed. Ooh, feels really good on the inside. I get a really nice, warm and fuzzy inside on that one.
me too. Me too.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you so
great.
much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for subscribing. If you enjoyed and you want more, you can turn on the notification option on YouTube, and that will notify you when the new one has posted. If you subscribe to Janet's newsletter and my newsletter, you'll actually get it before it's released to the public, and that's exciting too. Thank you
Mhm.
for liking, commenting. We really appreciate that level of engagement. If you like it, we won't know who you are. You can do that in stealth mode, just little like right there. It's still very encouraging to us because this is a fun choice that we're making to hopefully offer newer, better resources for being the life that you are.
Yes. And people, I usually post when we come out publicly on Instagram and Facebook, and you can do an anonymous post there too if you want to like put some request out or some comment. And I would invite people to, I would really love to know what kind of flavor of our podcast series you really like. You know, if it's the more energetically in tune, do you like the meditations? Jill and I have unlimited potential to assist with bringing in energetics around anything. I mean, it really is unlimited. That's how I know myself. And this is how I know Jill too, through my, I've gotten to know her fairly well, energetically on lots of levels. And so, what kind of flavor you like, what kind of practical application you might want to know about? Is it like how to apply the energetics? Is it stories? Is it bringing in the templates? Is it the meditations? Like, give us some ideas here because we can create. And that would be fun just to hear people's comments on that and what moved you the most? Like, what are those moments? If somebody, like, on everyone is like, this moved me the most, I would love to hear that. So
Me
thank you,
too.
everybody. Yeah,
Thanks,
that would be
everybody.
great.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Till next time.